thank you for the introduction. Thank you to Bill and Dom and the team at Paydirt for putting this together. And also thank you to previous speakers. Despite being hard acts to follow, I fully concur with a lot of the comments that have already been made with regards to lithium supply demand, the effect that will have on future pricing, but also very important to our thematic is what is happening in Europe currently from a geopolitical point of view. Jürgen mentioned it, as well as Chris and Francis as well, and that is extremely important. I'll talk about it more as we move on. Firstly, our speed reading test, but let me tell you a little bit about the project first. We're developing the Synovitz lithium project, which is the largest hard rock lithium resource in Europe. It's in the Czech Republic on the border with Germany. We're not quite in Germany, Jürgen, but very close by. And we've been developing this along with our Czech partner, a company called CEZ, C-E-Z, which is the Czech national power utility, a 45 billion euro market cap company that's 70% owned by the Czech government. So we have a very big brother involved with us. We're at definitive feasibility study stage. That'll conclude in the middle of this year. That's to produce battery-grade lithium carbonate. We have produced carbonate and battery-grade lithium hydroxide previously through all of our test work, but carbonate will be the chemical of choice with the DFS, and we've just completed a concept study late last year with regards to significantly increasing the volume that we will produce from the project. It's a fully integrated project, as I say, from a mining point of view right through to battery-grade chemical at the end of it. Synovitz is a historic underground tin mine. They started mining tin here in the 13th century, so there's a very, very long history of mining in the region. More recently, a coal mining region, which is now going through the transition, as much of former Eastern Europe is, from a coal-based industry through to the energy transition, and that's also very important to us, which I'll speak about shortly. Project summary, I won't go through every point here, but a very large underground lithium resource. As I said, largest hard rock lithium resource in Europe. Importantly, very importantly, by far the largest hard rock lithium resource in the EU. And that's important because it is the EU that's obviously pushing very hard this thematic of energy transition and building a battery industry. As I said, it accounts for about over 50% anyway, of all the hard rock lithium resources in the EU. DRA and Barra putting together our definitive feasibility study. As I say, it will conclude in the middle of the year. And there's been a couple of delays on the DFS for various reasons over the past year, but that's actually been beneficial to us. It's allowed us to enhance the process with a view to reducing costs, CapEx and OpEx, obviously very important in a depressed lithium price market. We have the EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, as a shareholder at an EMH level. Very happy to have them on board, and I think they will be there for us in the future as well. They're very heavily connected with the EIB, the European Investment Bank, that's been mentioned by both Chris and Francis as becoming significantly more and more involved in financing the energy transition. Both of the previous speakers already have formal relationships, formal commitments from the EIB. You know, we're running along probably 6 months behind that, and that's something we'll be looking to formalise with the publication of the definitive feasibility study in the middle of the year. But, you know, there are strong reasons to believe that we will achieve the support of this institution as well. The Critical Raw Materials Act, as Vulcan, we have been awarded strategic project status under the CRMA last month. It's interesting, we've seen an escalation of this support. So in February, the project was awarded strategic deposit status by the Czech government. A month later, strategic project status under the CRMA by the European Commission, and just yesterday we announced the final approval for a grant of approximately 36 million US dollars to the project under the European Union's Just Transition Fund. So you can see there is momentum building, and this momentum really underpins what we're seeing geopolitically across Europe, and in part as a reaction to what we're seeing from an uncertainty point of view with regards to critical minerals, security of supply globally. So the Just Transition Fund is a fund the EU established to assist regions of the European Union previously dependent on the coal economy to transition through to green energy. And as I mentioned earlier, that's exactly where we are. We're in the heartland of Czech historic coal production. We'll be using part of our waste to rehabilitate old Czech coal fields. We will be taking out of work coal miners in future years and training them to become underground lithium miners, and that's part of the reason why we've been awarded this grant. 36 million US dollars is obviously a significant amount of money. In the context of a very big project, it's not that big an amount of money, but I think what's more important is it just demonstrates the support within the system, within the EU, Brussels and now Prague for the project, and assisting and enabling this project and bringing it into production. You can see there, as I said, right on the German border, actually closer to Dresden than Prague, but you see the area we're in and the potential customers for our end product are very short distances away from us. EV sales in the EU, despite having a bit of a dip late last year, are again strong. You can see the numbers for yourself there. We see this demand continuing to grow. I'm sorry, this slide is partially in German, but as other speakers have mentioned, we're also seeing a significant increase in the demand for lithium in the stationary energy storage business, and I think this will continue to grow, and I think this is where we'll see surprise on the upside from the demand scenario going forward. Again, much the same. I won't dwell on this one. We're a little short of time. A little deeper into the project where we are. So the portal into the historic underground mine, previously it was accessed with vertical shafts. We won't be using those other than for ventilation. We have a portal into the side of the hill, and then we have a overhead rope conveyor system which goes about 6.5 kilometres to a transfer hub. The reason for the overhead conveyor system is from a social and environmental perspective. The project already has strong ESG credentials, but obviously everything we're doing, we're looking to enhance those credentials. And at the Dukla Transport Hub, we tap into an existing rail network. It's about 56 kilometres, I think, down to the site for the lithium carbonate processing plant down in Prunarov, which is the site of an old coal-powered power station that was previously owned by our project partner, CEZ. This is a very large site. There's room for significant expansion here. I already mentioned the concept study for the expansion of production from the project, but it will allow for significantly greater production there, and there's also a lot of old coal pits in the region for the waste. We've got a very simple process flow sheet. Those of you familiar with lithium production from spodumene will notice that this is a much more simple flow sheet than spodumene. And simple is good. It goes to reduce cost. It also goes to reduced energy inputs, reducing the carbon footprint of the project, both of which are very important for us, as I say, particularly in a low price environment. And as I also mentioned, we have already produced battery-grade lithium carbonate to a very high purity. This was audited by, in fact, German metallurgical company Dorfner Anzaplan But as you can see, even the crude lithium carbonate coming through from the process is almost battery grade. We do have the ability to go to battery grade hydroxide, and it is something we may do down the track depending on what the customers ultimately want. But we are seeing a large increase in the growth for the LFP battery sector in Europe, in the EU, and this is likely to be where the end product will end up in the short term. Very good infrastructure in the region. It is a historic mining area, as I say, 600 years of mining history in the area. And the ESG profile is relative to other hard rock lithium projects is very, very strong. It's also enhanced by the fact that we are entering a historic underground mine. Clearly that has a much lower impact on the environment, a much lower impact on the community than if we were a greenfield site cutting new ground. We had an LCA, a lithium cycle, a life cycle assessment conducted by our friends at Minviro with the preliminary feasibility study, which is now a couple of years old. Minviro will update this for the definitive feasibility study later this year. But you can see that with the advent of the use of green energy to the project, which has been committed to by our partner, CEZ, as I mentioned, the Czech National Power Utility, they already have in place sufficient solar, green energy, but primarily solar in the region, sufficient to power the site. And with the advent of green energy powering the process, our CO2 footprint drops significantly, making it relative to other global hard rock projects very attractive. We also score very well on the other two key inputs, being water usage and acidification. We put together, so we're the junior partner in the project. We have CEZ in country with their 35,000 employees, and obviously a significant amount of expertise within that organisation. The project is run via a separate project company called Geomet, of which we're 49% shareholder and CEZ 51% shareholder. But within the EMH team, we've managed to source some significant global lithium expertise from other companies over the last few years, and that coupled with the in-country experience of CEZ means that we have a very, very effective team in country. Where we go from here, so as I mentioned earlier, completion of the definitive feasibility study in the middle of the year, all final environmental inputs by the end of this year. That's the full EIA and surrounding permitting requirements. We expect to see the full approval process completed by about the middle of next year, move into that financing stage. We spoke about EIB earlier. There has been a renewed commitment to the energy transition from EIB on the back of the CRMA announcement of last month. There's a commitment to double the funding available to ensure the energy transition. And the EIB even came out and said that they had an additional €2 billion that they wish to deploy into the sector this calendar year. So we'll be following through with our conversations with them, with EBRD and others. That'll be a key input for us. And then obviously focusing on finalising offtake agreements and partnerships within the region as a part of that as well. There are additional tweaks that we're working on for the process that we think will enhance the economics and also the ESG credentials. But in a nutshell, I think we're well placed, particularly if we see a long-awaited improvement in the lithium price towards the back end of this year, which hopefully we will, and certainly we believe we will. But I think the project is very well placed to take advantage of that. Thank you all for your time. Very happy to take further questions and chat about this further. Thank you.